The Protestant Reformation began with the efforts of Martin Luther. So to understand the movement, we must begin with the man himself. What follows is a biographical sketch of Luther's early life and the experiences that shaped his theological views. Martin Luther was born in 1483 in the village of Eisleben, located in the Holy Roman Empire. His family was relatively successful. His father worked in mining and hoped his son would rise into the professional class. Accordingly, Luther received a solid education. By 1505, he had earned both his bachelor's and master's degrees and was preparing to enter law school, fulfilling his father's ambitions. In 1505, however, everything changed. While traveling during a summer break, Luther was caught in a violent thunderstorm near the town of Erfurt. Struck with terror when a lightning bolt crashed near him, he vowed to St. Anne, the patron saint of miners and of his family, that if he survived, he would become a monk. He survived the storm, and Luther kept his vow. Much to his father's disappointment, he abandoned the study of law and entered the Augustinian monastery in Erfurt. This monastery was ordinary for its time, not a center of radical thought or reform. But Luther quickly developed intense theological and psychological struggles as he trained for the priesthood. Like all Christians of his era, Luther wanted to achieve salvation. He followed every instruction the Church gave. He attended Mass, participated in the sacraments, confessed his sins frequently, performed acts of penance, and tried to live a humble, moral life. Yet Luther became increasingly troubled. Christian teaching held that sin was not limited to external actions. It also included inward feelings, the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, greed, anger, sloth, gluttony, and lust. Luther found that no matter how hard he tried, these feelings remained. His inability to rid himself of them caused deep anxiety. He confessed for hours, sometimes daily, trying to purge every sinful impulse from his mind. Words such as law or justice made him recoil because they reminded him of God's perfection and his own inability to measure up. Luther's fellow monks tried to reassure him, but nothing eased his spiritual torment. Eventually, the abbot, likely exasperated by Luther's constant despair, sent him away, hoping a change of environment might help. Luther was appointed to teach theology at the newly established University of Wittenberg, founded by Frederick the Wise, ruler of Saxony. This assignment would prove pivotal. Luther later wrote that it was in Wittenberg that he experienced the profound theological insights that set the Reformation in motion. While teaching, Luther wrestled with the idea of the justice of God. For years, he had understood God's justice as punitive. God sets standards humans cannot meet and then damns them for failing. But around 1513 to 1517, while lecturing on St. Paul's letter to the Romans, Luther experienced a moment of clarity, an event later called his Tower Experience. Focusing on Romans 1:17, the just shall live by faith, Luther came to a revolutionary realization. God's justice is not primarily about punishment. God's justice is revealed in mercy, offered freely through grace. Humans cannot earn salvation through good works. Instead, faith alone, Latin sola fide, justifies the believer. No amount of ceremonies, penance, or religious obligations could guarantee salvation, because human effort is always imperfect. Salvation is a gift, granted to those whom God chooses. Like earlier reformers, such as Wycliffe, Luther accepted that only some people would ultimately be saved. However, he refused to speculate about the mechanics of predestination. He believed such discussions led to despair and distracted from the heart of the Christian message, Christ's offer of salvation. Luther wrote that debates about predestination caused him to forget everything about Christ, and that thinking too deeply on the subject made him imagine God as a rogue. Therefore, he instructed believers to avoid the topic entirely and focus instead on faith in Christ. In Luther's view, good works naturally followed from genuine faith, but they played no role in earning salvation. This was a direct challenge to the Catholic Church's teaching that faith and works together led to salvation.